Welcome to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch, the business connector to business in Brazil. Talk to Brazil is a leading business podcast, talks with business experts throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, an American known as the king of networking, connecting people from my studio in Brazil. And today, my friend and business networking partner, Khudania Ajay, joins us from New Delhi in India. Ajay, a highly experienced media coach, independent journalist, podcast host with a proven track record of the global podcast show, the KAJ Masterclass Live, helping people learn better, earn better. And today's a special chat with Ajay. Ajay, welcome again. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity for coming on to your show.
Well, what I want to chat about today is a statistics that I shared with you of where in the world are people listening. And I see on your YouTube channel, you have thousands of subscribers. You have made hundreds, almost 700 videos that are out there. And I'm sure you do some tracking and you know that you reach the world. But were you surprised at the statistics that I shared with you that show that India has one of the highest rates of listening to podcasts? Was that something new for you?
I am not surprised at all, Tom, and I'm in fact, if you want me to say, I will say these numbers have just started. Mm-hmm. And what will reflect will be huge numbers in days to come. The reason is that a lot of Indian population, a lot of people, youngsters, professionals, especially in the age group of, say, 23 to 35, they want, and beyond that, but majorly this chunk is who wants to learn. They want solutions for all the things that they are facing in terms of career, work, small business, entrepreneurship, or any other problem. And they want solutions. And that is what they are searching everywhere. And when they are the biggest search that they are doing is looking at YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. And also now YouTube, we have got YouTube podcasts and other places also. And podcasts have come up very big because you get to have different versions, people who are working on the ground, who have solved this problem for themselves.
Right.
That is the type of people I get on my shows who have done it. So if they are seekers, people seek for solutions, seek for learning, and they seek in podcasts from podcast guests. And when they do it, they keep on learning about it. That's where I said that when you learn better, you start earning better. So that population is rising and it will continue to rise. And that number will start getting majorly reflected in all the podcast numbers that will keep coming in the future. It is like, it's like a relay race. Mm-hmm. The relay race started somewhere else, maybe in the US, Canada, other places. The numbers, my podcast numbers or show numbers are quite good in those places. US, Canada, Australia, Germany, mm-hmm. France, UK, but if I look at the numbers on YouTube, then Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, all these places. So and India, obviously, it's my country. So people are, so many places it is in India, the numbers in India are big. Sometimes other places are, it all depends on episode to episode. But what I want to say is that the world is coming together. And podcasts...
And I agree with that, because I would add to that we reach everywhere. And I see that from my statistics. And if you just mentioned, if we put together all of the listeners from all of these different countries, that's a sizable market in itself. That's a sizable audience. And it just may be 2 or 3 in each one of these countries, but we're talking over 170 different countries. And language barriers, as we mentioned. We're being listened to. You're being listened to. So you are generating knowledge, and that's what people are searching for.
Yes. And knowledge is being generated by the masters. That's why I said, so my tagline is profit from the masters here. These are the masters who don't want to be thought leaders. They don't come to podcast to be thought leaders. They come there to share their uniqueness, share their knowledge of the problems that they have solved. And they want people to know that this is how you can solve a problem for yourself. You see, this is what it is. People who know about a skill, they don't need to be the biggest expert of the universe. They just need to explain it to people. Like the other day, I was listening to a gardening program. I was seeing it. And so the person is sharing his knowledge with the world. How to start gardening means I am not a gardener. I don't know about whatever I plant. The plants do not last for long. So that knowledge is useful. When I listen to that, I listen to the usefulness of the knowledge. I don't seek out the biggest expert of the world. I want to seek out for the person who solves my problem. Podcasts are now trying to do that. And that is getting also reflected in the searches. You see the whole, with the AI coming in, the search, from the SEO, we have moved into the second level of searches now. The search engines will start looking at, and my understanding is that in the days to come, the searches will now start, earlier it was only from the websites, but searches will start looking out, bringing you out the lines, and the transcripts out of the podcast themselves. That, okay, this is the type of thing you are looking for. Here is that answer. It will come in snippets. It will come. So Google and all other search engines, perhaps in the days to come, will start bringing out the solutions from hidden anywhere in those audio files, video files, anywhere. And this is where the world will change. And this is where
there's another point to that I see and you see. Two things. First, what we generate as content stays there. It doesn't evaporate, even though your show is live, and it's now live on LinkedIn, and you're going to YouTube. But those files will be there. You also upload that to other platforms. And my podcast, they're out there. Another thing that I find from my statistics, that somebody is listening, not to the same interview or episode that we've generated, they're listening to different ones at different times. And why is that? Because they're being found at different times.
Right.
So the knowledge for somebody in India or in Ukraine or Russia or Germany, they're looking for something different each day. And it doesn't have to be something we said yesterday. Because most of them, back to your point about the master class, those persons, they're not looking to become the master there on your show or my show, but they know that what we do, we generate a loyalty within the web. Those files will be there. They will be found. So they know the value of having that content shared. And I think that's part of the mechanism. The learning, if we look at LinkedIn, what has LinkedIn become? It's a learning platform. More and more people, obviously they first went because they wanted a job or they wanted a client. But now they're going for knowledge. They want to know who knows. They want to hear. Yeah. They want to know what you're sharing. Who is this person talking about whatever? It could be gardening. It could be a CEO forum. All right. It could be failure in business. It could be success in business. It could be how did I start up, whatever. So these are things that people are looking for. And they're concentrated. Being on LinkedIn, even being on YouTube today, YouTube has become a search engine. People go there to search. LinkedIn, professionals go there to search. And so those mechanisms of being, we say we're searching, we need to be findable. If somebody's out there searching, we as persons need to be found. And my success and your success comes from exactly that, being found. And it's every day. It's sort of like, you put out the bird seed, the birds come. What we do and how you do it, you're putting out bird seed constantly. The second thing I want to do is compare Brazil back to what you just said. the yearn to learn. The Brazilians are very similar in what you mentioned about the world, but here in Brazil, most Brazilians, as out in the world, they're accessing knowledge on what some people call a phone. The phone is not a phone anymore. It's a mobile computer. It's a mobile internet access. And that's where most Brazilians are listening. We're talking about podcasts specifically. That's where most Brazilians have their internet access. They may not have internet at home. They may not have a computer at home. But wherever they are, they could be riding the bus to work. And the buses here will have internet. The intercity buses, intermunicipality buses, they have internet. Everything. If you go into a coffee, drink some coffee, you have to have internet. You go to the supermarket, internet. So people are accessing internet in many ways. And they're accessing the podcast, and in your case, your YouTube, even the LinkedIn as we're doing. That's how they're accessing it. They may be sitting at work right now watching us. We don't know. They could be riding the bus. They could be out to lunch. They could be having breakfast because of the time differences. But they're looking. They're looking. And in Brazil, again, the language is a challenge. But Brazilians are also learning English in whatever they do. So many of my podcasts, my English language podcasts, are used by Brazilians to learn English. But that's out in the world. There are other people out in the world listen to us, our podcast, for the learning of the content, but also to hear the language. Because we know there are more second language English speakers in the world than there are native English speakers. So the more we can reach and help people understand, it's not because I defend English because I'm an American. No, I defend it because it has become a common intersection for learning.
Absolutely. As a language breaks barriers, in fact, and people learn different languages. Many people learn Hindi. They come to learn Hindi. In fact, I don't know Sanskrit. I know only a few words here and there, but a lot of people from outside, they come to learn Sanskrit in India. So learning continues, and this is what, as you say, that this breaks down barriers. Mm-hmm. Just like internet has done, podcasting has done, learning breaks the biggest of barriers. And then you find that we are so similar. Right. From the distance, right. Somebody standing atop a hill, hiding behind a hill, maybe you find them threatening. But actually the person is afraid of you. And that's why, so when you meet, when you see, when you talk, then you learn. And when you learn, all the misconceptions are gone. And that is where humanity can, comes closer to each other, and people come closer to each other. And as human beings, we need to find those fresh things, right, that can bring us together again. We have lost empathy. Maybe this sort of communication will bring all of us together. Just like when we are communicating right now, your podcast is going live there. So we are communicating. Some people will also listen to me. They will understand, okay, this guy is also like us. Uh-huh. And a lot of people who are seeing you live, okay, Tom, from Brazil, what's the difference? Everything is the same, maybe just a few things here and there. And he's talking the same language. He's talking about the same things that we are talking, what we want to hear. And that is where, it brings that commonality, that we are all one. And that is where, and then you start, when you meet, when you greet, when you talk, you not only understand each other, you also do business to each other.
And business success comes from learning, from constant learning. When I say lifetime learning, what are we doing? What have we done? We keep learning. Obviously, we're offering content, but both you and I are users of content. I know you learn from each one of your guests. I learn from each one of my guests. I consider my podcasting as an MBA. It's an online, freshly regenerated, an MBA. And I've learned from each one of my guests. I've the same, interviewed hundreds of people in English and Portuguese, and I learned either about what they're doing, how they're doing it, where they're from, in terms of geography, of understanding. I've interviewed people, again, through many parts of the world. And so that's the connectivity. But we, as podcast hosts, to make what we do better, we have to learn. What we're doing right now, creating a chat, creating something that unites two different countries, India and Brazil. And that was our chat before. How can we generate? How can we use what we do in another fashion? So that's learning. That's searching for answers with people that's next to us. All right, say India's next to Brazil, but we're next to each other. We're next to each other here on the video on the YouTube. And what you said is important. Authenticity, I think, is really important what we do as podcast hosts, because people want to see real things. They want to see real people. We don't have to sit here and dance or get up and do anything or sing, but they need to know, I feel, they need to know that we're authentic, that we're real, we're not fake. We're not a voice that has been generated, a visual aspect in terms of YouTube that has been generated. We want to talk to real people. They want to understand that we have blood flowing in our veins. So, and what we're doing, we're learning. We're teaching and learning. The more you teach, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you teach.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the way to progress. That's the way you rise and you take everybody else also along with you. Everybody grows.
Our guys at the beginning, our success, my success, has been through people. Always been through people. You have your followers, you have your subscribers. I have my followers and listeners. They believe, they found us. They valued the content offered. I'm sure you know that. Have they listened to all your 670 videos? Probably not. Have they listened to my hundreds of interviews? Probably not. And I don't have that as an objective. What I do have as objective is to, as you do, promote each one of them. Keep them out there, because they will be found. And they can be repurposed. And I've done that. You've done that. When I come across someone that says, well, do you know somebody, or do you know something about whatever? I can send them an interview. I said, well, I've interviewed a person. Somebody comes to me, what about India? I'll share it. Hey, I know AJ. AJ has YouTube channel Masterclass. Send them your LinkedIn link. Say, this is a person I think you ought to connect to. That's it. And that's how networking works. That's how what we do works. So we both know thousands of people throughout the world that are successful. And so what we do, say, well, is it philanthropic? Is that a spiritual thing you're doing? No, I just think it's a personal requirement. The more I share, as you do, the more you share, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you teach. The more you teach, the more you learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all a collaboration all the time. It can never be an individual thing. Growth is collaboration. Learning is collaboration. And earning is also through collaboration, because you cannot create anything yourself. It has to be, even for the masterclass, like I cannot keep on talking to myself from the books. It has to come from people, from people who have done it, who have learned it the hard way, and now making it easy for everybody else. These are the people who make that big difference, and who are ready to come out and share it with the world.
Well, I think that's the personal touch, willing and wanting to share. What I found in my life, there are people who don't want to share. They feel that knowledge, whatever it is theirs. I don't think knowledge is ours. We have our knowledge, but we need to share it. If we expect to have a better world out there, if we're looking out into these statistics, and there's still a large part of the world that doesn't even show up in the statistics. They're not podcast listeners. So that just shows me, it shows you, the potential for growth. There's still a lot of places to talk to or to show to. And that's what our secret's going to be. How can we learn to reach that, the inclusion? And I think that's the secret of our success.
Absolutely. So going forward, you see, as we keep on talking, we keep on chatting, we continue to learn about how we are learning, whether we are learning better about the show itself, like how do we try and make it better? And that is where the feedback comes in learning. We keep on asking the people that, okay, we are doing good. This is how is it going? Is it good? We are trying to make it better. So we expect feedback, more feedback from people. We will continue to seek feedback from people. We will continue to seek learning from people and making those changes to this discussion, this communication, this super chat between two of us, but actually we are just individuals. We represent much, much bigger. And, we talk about two countries together.
Right.
We are just one of, one person from these countries. But when people start looking at you from learning point of view, then you gain that trust, and it becomes your bigger responsibility to ensure that you keep that sacred trust sacred, and make sure that you represent that sacredness, that trust in the best way possible. And that is what makes you special, not because of yourself, but because of the type of work you do. You can, the same.
I couldn't agree more, because I mentioned authenticity, but trust and credibility also are part of that tripod for sustainability for anybody. What I want to do, since this is the teaching learning experience, we are now going to close this episode, and we will continue speaking afterwards, so that we will close out the Talk to Brazil episode now, okay?
Right.
And I do want to go back, thank you, within Talk to Brazil for sharing your knowledge, your experience with our guest, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Where can our listeners find you?
The listeners can find me on the internet. It will become easy for them just to type either my name or the KAJ Masterclass Live, because it will throw up a lot of results, which might, be those platforms that they prefer. It goes to, but majorly if they ask, then it's the YouTube, then it's the podcasts, all the Apple and Spotify and Amazon and Google Podcasts, all these places, this KAJ Masterclass Live that goes. And also, I put it out in text when it becomes possible. Each podcast, in the form of a blog, we put it out on Substack and Medium, so that, people who want to read there,
right,
they can do that. So many people like reading. They want to take their time. They don't need to take notes from them there.
Right.
They can just listen, because the podcast, we try to put out a blog, an article in the form of, easy, that is in the form of pointers, that people are able to, take note of the expertise that the guest has shared in the episode, and that is what, where people can make the best use of.
Repurpose everything, right?
Yes, but you see, knowledge, it is like, in physics, that the larger physics is always the rules of physics.
Right.
But what makes a common man's life easier is the applied physics. That when you apply that knowledge to make your life, your simple days of life easy for everybody. Same is with the knowledge itself, that repurposing should not be for the sake of repurposing, right, but in terms of making it easy to consume that knowledge. Right. Some people like it in the longer format, some people like it in audio format, some people like it in a text format. And that is what you try to do with it. The limited means that being a podcaster yourself. I hope that I can gain more strength, and then we can perhaps find more ways of putting it out for more number of people reaching out. Like right now, this whole attempt is that we are able to reach out to people. I am able to reach out to people in Brazil. You are able to reach out more people in India, though your podcast is already coming down to India. 10% of your podcast listeners are from India.
Well, thanks again, AJ.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, again, you can find more about Khudania Ajay. It's Khudania, the last name Ajay. Find him on LinkedIn and again YouTube, which is the youtube.com KAJ Masterclass. KAJ Masterclass. Thanks to you, our listeners, and our sponsor, Focus MI Market Intelligence. Focus MI specializes in market research for the Brazilian agricultural market. And more about them at their site, focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Goodbye, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Tom Reaoch on Talk to Brazil, the business connector to Brazil.